There is a silent architecture woven behind every moment of your life, a subtle order, almost invisible, that doesn't reveal itself with force, but whispers in between the lines. Sometimes it shows up so delicately that if you're distracted, you'll miss it. But when your heart is present, when the mind quiets and the body breathes in the rhythm of the soul, something happens. A number repeats. A name appears before the phone rings. A song plays in the exact second you think about giving up. And for a moment you feel, this is not random. We've been taught to doubt these subtleties, to call them coincidence, luck, randomness. But what if chance is just the name we give to what we don't yet understand? What if everything that seems accidental is in truth a response? A response to what you're vibrating, feeling, longing for, even unconsciously. Because when you start living with presence, with openness, with surrender, the veil lifts. And you realize reality is not indifferent. It is alive, attentive, responsive. These little events, the signs, the encounters, the moments of inexplicable perfection, they're not tricks of fate, they're echoes, vibrational reflections of something greater moving toward you. They don't come to convince you that something magical exists. They come to remind you that you are the magic. That everything you touch, think, and feel leaves an imprint on the field that surrounds all things. And the field responds, not because you asked, but because you are. So begin to notice the patterns, the repetitions, the improbable pauses, the moments when something inside you whispers, something's happening here. It's not superstition, it's resonance. It's the field responding to your presence. Synchronicity doesn't need to be loud to be real. It just needs space, stillness. Someone awake enough to realize that the universe speaks and has always spoken in silence. The world you see out there is only half the story. The other half vibrates within, in the thoughts that repeat, in the emotions you sustain without realizing, in the subtle impulses that move your steps without logic, yet with purpose. Reality is not a stage where you merely watch events unfold. It is a quantum mirror shaped by everything you are. It doesn't happen to you, it happens through you. Modern physics, even when trying to keep both feet grounded in logic, can no longer ignore the invisible. The behavior of subatomic particles, for instance, changes when they are observed. That's the observer effect, a clear sign that consciousness is not just a spectator, but a shaper of reality. You are not separate from the universe, you are entangled with it. Your thoughts are like antennas, your emotions like electric currents flowing through the invisible field of creation. And it is in this field, this living web of energy and information, that everything is organized, but not randomly. The field responds to frequency. The vibration you emit, consciously or not, shapes the experiences that come your way. Synchronicity is not magic, it is vibrational mathematics. It's when your frequency collides with events that carry the same energetic signature. A meeting that changes everything, an improbable yes, an answer that arrives before the question. When you are out of alignment, vibrating fear, urgency, scarcity, the field responds with static. But when you step into coherence, when your mind, heart, and body speak the same language, something shifts. You begin to emit a clear signal. And that signal doesn't need to shout, it simply resonates, and everything in harmony with it begins to find you. People, opportunities, paths, answers, everything. Reality is not fixed, it pulses with you, it listens to you, it observes you, and more than that, it feels you. There's a well-disguised illusion on the journey of those who seek to create their own reality, the belief that control equals manifestation, that the more effort, focus, and strategies you use, the faster things will come. But the field doesn't respond to effort. The field responds to coherence. And coherence cannot be forced. It is reached when you learn to let go. Letting go is not giving up. It's not settling. It's allowing. It's releasing the mental chains that try to control every step of the path. It's saying, I move forward with clarity in what I desire, but I trust that the how and the when belong to an intelligence greater than mine. And in that space, that rare silence between wanting and allowing, synchronicity blooms, not as a reward, but as a natural reflection of your openness. It's easy to ask for signs when we feel insecure. What's hard is trusting before they appear. But that's the key. Signs don't show up to convince you. They show up because you were already ready, because you entered a state of resonance that allowed the field to reorganize around you. And when that happens, coincidences disappear. What once seemed random now has rhythm, meaning, direction. You begin to notice that everything that seemed stuck was actually aligning, that the no's that once hurt were redirections, that the unlikely encounters were life's invitations. That time, which once felt delayed, was simply preparing you to receive with awareness. Letting go is an act of vibrational courage. It's the exact point where you stop being a beggar of reality and become a co-creator. It's where control turns into trust. And it's in that trust that reality begins to dance around you, with a precision that feels almost poetic. Most people expect signs to arrive with a bang, flashing lights, certainty, rational explanations. But the field doesn't work that way. Synchronicity doesn't shout, it whispers. And when you begin to listen, you realize it's not the mind that picks it up first, it's the body. Before you understand, you feel a shiver at the wrong moment, a silence that feels heavier than usual, a strange sense of familiarity with someone who just arrived. Your heart races for no reason. Your stomach sinks at a sentence that didn't even seem that important. These are codes, frequencies, that your biology recognizes long before your logic catches up, because the body is directly connected to the language of the field. And when you start honoring these sensations, instead of ignoring them or brushing them off, something shifts. You become a clearer receiver. The field notices there's someone willing to engage. And like any good conversation, it begins subtly but deepens with consistency. A number that repeats, a book that falls, a song that plays at the exact right moment, a conversation that answers a question you hadn't even spoken aloud. These tiny sparks aren't coincidence. They're callings, signs that the field is responding. And the more you respond back with gratitude, presence, attention, the more it shows you. Not as a trick to impress you, but as a quiet proof that you have never been alone. Life is trying to speak to you all the time. The problem is we were taught to listen with our ears, when in truth, we must feel with the heart, because that is where the frequency of truth lives. There is a secret harmony that only reveals itself when you are whole in presence, in feeling, in intention. This state is called vibrational coherence, and it's in this state that the field begins to notice you more clearly, because when your mind, heart, and body are vibrating on the same frequency, you stop emitting static and start emitting direction. Coherence isn't a forced state. It's not the result of stacking positive thoughts on top of anxiety. It's born from the congruence between what you think, what you feel, and what you do. When you desire something but internally vibrate lack, the field responds to the lack, not the desire. But when you feel the truth of what you desire as if it were already real, without tension, without urgency, the field reorganizes everything around you to reflect that new signature. It's like tuning a radio to the right station. Before, all you heard was static, interference, confusion. But the moment you align, everything starts to flow. Signs show up more often. Opportunities move with greater ease. Decisions become clearer. And life starts to feel less like a series of obstacles and more like an invisible choreography dancing in your favor. And the most surprising part, it doesn't require effort. It requires presence. A willingness to fully inhabit the now with emotional truth, without internal pretending. Because the field doesn't respond to words, it responds to vibration. And the most powerful vibration you can emit is the one that comes from trust, even when nothing outside has changed yet. When you're in coherence, life doesn't need to shout at you, it whispers. And what once felt like chaos begins to have rhythm. A word appears 3 times in one day. A message arrives at the exact right moment. An opportunity knocks, not because you chased it, but because you became the magnet. There's a quiet paradox at the heart of synchronicity. The more anxiously you search for signs, the more they hide. The more you try to control the flow of life, the more it slips through your fingers. Because the field doesn't respond to desperation, it responds to openness. And openness is born the moment you stop demanding proof and start living as someone who already trusts. Some people turn synchronicity into a treasure hunt. They see repeating numbers and expect a miracle. They hear a phrase and rush to interpret it, but most of the time, this comes from a place of urgency, of impatience, of I need something to happen now so I can feel safe. But vibrational safety doesn't come from the outside. It it comes from within. The truest signs aren't theatrical. They don't arrive with fireworks. They come as whispers from the universe, delicate, precise, silent, a small detail only you would notice, an answer hidden in an ordinary conversation, an intuition that guides you, not with logic, but with precision. And you know it's real, not because you have proof, but because you feel it. Your body responds, your heart recognizes it, your soul softens. You don't need to chase signs like someone begging for direction. You just need to be aligned enough to become receptive to them. And that alignment happens when you release the expectation of when, how, or with whom, and simply breathe in the certainty that you are being guided, even when nothing seems to be moving. Synchronicity is the field saying, "You're on the path, keep going." But it can only whisper that when you find stillness within, when you stop chasing answers and start walking with faith in the unseen. There is something in the nature of synchronicity that escapes logic and defies calendars. It doesn't bend to your schedule, doesn't meet deadlines, and never sends a warning before arriving. Synchronicity obeys a different rhythm, the rhythm of the field, and this rhythm isn't measured by the clock. It follows the timing of alignment, the frequency of inner coherence, the space of true surrender. Miracles have no fixed date. They arrive at the address of a vibrational state. Maybe that's why so many people feel frustrated with the idea of manifesting, because they try to control the invisible with visible goals. They want the universe to work like a delivery app. Choose, click, wait. But creation doesn't respond to wanting. It responds to being, and you only receive what you're energetically ready to hold. The field doesn't miss the timing. It's you who must become receptive to the right moment. And that moment usually comes when you're no longer trying to force anything, when you're not obsessed with making it happen, when your peace becomes greater than your urgency, when you say with your heart, even if it hasn't arrived yet, I trust. And it's in that vibration, free of tension, free of pressure, that the field opens. The invisible gears begin to turn. The right people cross your path, the doors crack open, and the answers begin to emerge. It's not coincidence, it's synchronicity, the quiet dance between what you emanate and what the universe delivers. And the more you release the anxiety for immediate results, the more space you create for the unexpected to unfold. What once felt stuck begins to flow. What seemed distant draws near, and what once felt impossible simply happens. Miracles don't run toward you. They wait for you to stop chasing them and finally become the place where they can land. It's easy to stay aligned when everything is flowing. The real challenge is holding your vibration when answers take time, when silence stretches on, when reality keeps repeating old patterns. That's when the field observes you most closely. Because it's in those moments that you get the chance to prove, not to the universe, but to yourself, that your frequency no longer depends on circumstances. It's not about denying what you feel. It's not about closing your eyes to the pain or faking positivity while everything seems to fall apart. It's about choosing presence, because presence holds a strength that desperation doesn't know. When you take a deep breath and decide to trust, even without understanding, even without seeing, even without knowing, you change everything. Because in that moment, you're no longer asking for a sign, you are the sign. The field responds to those who remain open, not to those who try to negotiate. You can spend days, months, even years trying to force a breakthrough, and nothing moves. But a single moment of real surrender, of a bare heart, is enough for everything to begin to reorganize. Not because you earned it, but because you finally entered coherence. The secret is not to sustain perfection, it's to sustain alignment. And that doesn't mean never feeling fear, doubt, or anger. It simply means that even within those feelings, you choose to return. Return to your center, return to your body, return to the frequency that knows everything has its time, and everything is aligning, even when it feels like nothing's moving. When you learn to trust the invisible, the visible starts working in your favor. Because the field doesn't need proof, it needs openness. And you open doors when you quiet the mind and listen to the vibration of your own soul whispering, breathe, keep going, it's on its way. Everyone has lived through this. A situation that seems to repeat itself with a new disguise. Different relationships, same pain. Different paths, same block. New projects, same ending. And the first reaction is always, why is this happening again? But that question comes from the wrong place, the place of the victim, because the answer is never out there. What repeats itself isn't the universe punishing you, it's your vibration repeating. The field is neutral, but it's not blind. It mirrors back with surgical precision whatever you sustain the most, consciously or not. If you vibrate with fear of abandonment, you'll attract absence. If you vibrate with doubt about your worth, you'll live through experiences that confirm it. Not as punishment, but as a clear mirror of what still needs to be seen, felt, and transcended. That's why observing your life patterns is an act of courage. Because it hurts to realize that, unknowingly, you've been co-creating what you most wanted to avoid. But at the same time, it's liberating. Because if you created it, even unconsciously, then you can recreate it too. The first step is to stop reacting and start listening. When something repeats, ask, what is this situation trying to show me about myself? Maybe it's the field asking you to close an emotional loop. Maybe life is showing you that your frequency is still tied to a story you say you've outgrown, but your body still carries it. Maybe it's just another chance to finally choose differently. Nothing outside will change unless something inside changes. But the miracle begins the moment you stop blaming yourself and start taking responsibility. Because right there, between what keeps repeating and what can be transformed, a new frequency is trying to be born. And when you choose to sustain that new frequency, even without guarantees, the field responds. It always does. In the end, everything you call life is a response. It's not a reward, not a punishment. It's not luck or misfortune. It's a reflection. The field doesn't distinguish between right or wrong, good or bad. It simply mirrors back with precision what you consistently sustain. It doesn't respond to your most intense desires. It responds to your most habitual frequencies. That's why you can affirm 1,000 times that you want abundance and still keep receiving lack. Because the field doesn't listen to your words. It listens to your body. It feels the fear still pulsing beneath the I trust. It recognizes the silent pattern behind the performance, and it only changes when you truly change. But this doesn't have to be heavy. It doesn't need to be another spiritual burden to carry. On the contrary, this is liberating. It means you have more power than you realize. It means your presence changes everything. And your only real job is this: to sustain a vibration that matches the life you want to live. You don't need to rush, prove, or force. You need to feel, align, sustain, and most of all, trust. Because even when you don't see it, the field does. Even when everything seems still, something is being rearranged. Even when nothing makes sense, the invisible web keeps weaving synchronicities with a precision only mystery understands. You're not lost. You never were. You're in the middle of a deep conversation with the universe. A conversation where every thought, every emotion, every choice sends a message. And the field, patiently, always responds, understood. Here it is, returned. So breathe, let go of control, and remember, you're not here to guess the future. You're here to vibrate the now with such presence that the right future will have no choice but to come meet you. If this message resonated with you, leave it in the comments. I choose to vibrate in coherence. This isn't just a symbolic gesture. It's a signal to the field, a reminder to yourself that you're available to live in alignment with what you truly want to create. And if you want to keep receiving messages that nourish the soul and expand your awareness, subscribe to the channel. You are not alone. The field is listening, and it's ready to respond.